Hello, I am Cynthia Orsini-Dahl, your host for our Ops VETS show, Vets Get on the Grid. This is our first show of the new year, so a happy and prosperous new year to all. I am hosting Ops for Vet Life members who sit down with me on our show, which is a series of conversations highlighting veteran entrepreneurs and their companies. Our goal is to cultivate an awareness of our veterans, our like-minded citizens, and their lives, which are richer and more multifaceted than many people realize. I am a civilian and the daughter of a veteran of foreign war. I am also an Ops for Vets Life member and founder of Cultivating Your Awareness. As a health and wellness instructor, I share practices for breathing, balance, and meditation, guiding people of all ages and walks of life in cultivating a deeper personal awareness, making navigating life's challenges clearer and easier over time. It takes a village to shape our lives, and by nurturing our own village of awareness, especially today, you can have a greater connection with the global village with a greater calm and resilience. These practices come from my own moments of needing to stop, slow down, and reset so I can be vital to stay vital, no matter what life gives me. I host this show in honor of my father, U.S. Marine Corporal Sergeant Ed Brown's memory and his service during the Korean War. My family benefits from his legacy because I realize the value of my father's dedication, service, and honor as a U.S. Marine. I heard his message to our family in his own 100-year frame of making a difference. However, today I want to honor another family member, my former brother-in-law, Colonel Richard Orsini, a retired United States Air Force colonel whose life was truly defined by service to our nation. He passed unexpectedly on December 16th at the age of 89, leaving behind a legacy of courage, leadership, and deep devotion to others. I had hoped to convince him to come onto the show because of his story and his voice, which carried so much history. His military journey began in 1957, and over the years, he became one of the most decorated airmen in U.S. history. He earned the Defense Superior Service Medal, the Bronze Star, the Legion of Merit, and 6 Distinguished Flying Crosses. Honors that speak not just to bravery, but a lifelong commitment to serving and protecting his fellow service members. He served as a navigator with the famed hurricane hunters out of Bermuda, and later flew helicopters with the Jolly Green Giant rescue unit during the Vietnam War. Over his career, he logged more than 6,000 flight hours and is credited with rescuing over 30 downed airmen. After combat service, Richard continued to lead in logistics, serving as Chief of Logistics Plans and Policy Section at the Supreme Headquarters Allied Powers in Europe. He retired from the Air Force in 1987, but not from service like many of you here today. In civilian life, Richard stayed deeply engaged in his community. He lived a life marked by uncommon courage and steadfast service for his family and country. He truly left a message that has made and will continue to make an impact and a difference for a child 100 years from now. I have always had a great respect for the men and women who serve and protect this country here and abroad. Company, yes. That's why I am here getting the word out about veteran-owned businesses. To me, it demonstrates that service never ends for those who choose to serve their country, then choose to share the knowledge that they gained during their service. And they do this through entrepreneurship, striving to pass on the same legacy of discipline, integrity, and commitment learned in the armed forces. This series lives live on 0 or O4V.tv. That's O4v.tv. Handshakes, Not Handouts, which is Chief Warrant Officer for Alfred R. Renteria's site for empowering veteran entrepreneurs through his organization, the ARC. With me today is U.S. Marine David Killion, a Marine veteran and executive protection leader, in addition to being a surveillance and intelligence strategist. He is also the co-owner and chief operating officer of CCAT Security based in Southern California. David has carried his purpose and passion straight from the Marine Corps into entrepreneurship, and he is the first Ops for Vets Life member to join me in 2026. Thanks for joining me to begin the new year, David.
Absolutely. I'm honored to be here.
Thank you. His background. David has extensive experience in tactical military operations, high threat executive protection, and covert surveillance, and is the foundation stone of CCAT's elite operational strategy. He served from 2015 to 2019 as an O-311 rifleman in a helicopter assault and raid company and was deployed to Australia, leading managing sensitive equipment and mission planning. Leadership goes hand in hand for David. He is currently working towards furthering his education in psychology and the written word with a focus on human behavior. He has studied behavioral economics at Northwestern University and is also a member of the ASIS International, the world's leading organization for security professionals specializing in executive protection and global standards. David has woven his discipline from the Corps, from the Marine Corps, and the values he's lived every day in the Marine Corps, discipline, leadership, and resilience, into his civilian life through his business ventures, educational pursuits, and especially helping veterans transition into civilian life. Please meet David Killion. David, it's an honor to have you here today. Thank you for your service, for becoming an Ops Life member, and joining me here on Vets on the Grid series so that our viewers can get to see what veterans like yourself, what you are now, what you're doing now, and how you continue to serve after you've left active duty. It's an opportunity for fellow veteran business owners in building that collective to create that impact together, just as you had in the service. This is the impact that will make a difference in a child 100 years from now. So, David, tell us about your life's past, its present, and the future, especially the future behind your company's mission at CCAT Security. And I'd like to know what inspired you to join the Marine Corps?
Oof. Well, I think so I grew up in Washington State, right over near base Fort Lewis McChord, the joint base up there. So I grew up in kind of a military town. It's just kind of the culture of the neighborhood that I was raised in. Um, so I think to some degree it was just kind of always something that I knew that I was going to wind up doing. As for the Marine Corps, to be honest, they were the first ones to answer the phone. So that's there was no highly specific reason and choice. It was just more of a toss of the coin, but it worked out well.
What was an early moment that really shaped who you are today, and what lessons from the Corps still guide your decisions?
I think one thing that was really impactful was um, we were doing a training scenario. I don't remember exactly what was going on, but I remember one of my I believe it was my team leader at the point. He came up to me because I was being indecisive about which way to go during this drill or whatever. And he told me, he's like, look, this applies to the Marine Corps and life in general. He's like, just pick a direction and go with it. He's like, you can adjust course, you can make corrections, but if you just stand there, you're never going to move forward. You have to pick a direction and go with it. And so I think that's been really impactful with me, just kind of forcing and initiating that action forward.
Well, obvious that sense of purpose clearly didn't stop when you took off your uniform, and it's taking root in your role at CCAT. So I'm going to ask you about your decision as a leader, about your point of view in your field of expertise of security and protection, and as a veteran dealing with life after service. And
Mhm.
you saw gaps in the security and protection field. So what compelled you to write the books that you did? Because what did you see that was missing in the industry that needed to be, that needs to exist?
I think to some degree, there is a strong gap with transitioning from not only just from the military to security to executive protection, but you also see a gap between like your just I don't want to say basic security, right? But we'll just go with that term. Like your allied security, your Securitas, your security guard, and transitioning into like executive protection. Because I meet a lot of guys, they'll be doing a post at say a mall or grocery store, and they'll tell me, "Oh man, I really want to get into EP. I really want to do bodyguarding, this and that." And it's a really great concept, I understand, but they have no idea how to get there. They don't really know what that entails. And they can do some research here and there, but realistically, if you kind of just go on the internet and you just Google, how do I do this? You're going to wind up with a whole bunch of different, oh, you need to go to this school or you have to have this requirement and that requirement. Some of it may be true, but there's a lot of just extra steps. There's a lot of people just trying to prey on individuals that realistically, they really just want to better themselves. And oftentimes they have families. They want to make more money to put their family in a better position. So why prey on them? So I've written a couple of books for a couple of organizations internally, um, to try and help some of their just, I guess, lower end, lower tier security guards kind of improve themselves and understand what is needed and how to raise in the ranks to the higher tiers of executive protection, close protection, things like that.
Wow. Okay. So, with that kind of clarity and obvious discipline that's going to have to be inherent in somebody, um, you have a book coming out on the 20th.
I do. I
Can you
do.
give us some insight about that and what it's about?
Yes. Yes. So I have a book coming out. It's called Describing Life in Pain. And what's funny is it's not security related at all. It is it's more geared towards veterans, but it can be applicable to, non-veterans as well. And I guess a big focus in my life is kind of seeing gaps and then doing what I can in my efforts to try and help fill some of those gaps. So the gap that I saw was a lot of times when an individual is going through emotional pain, um, for any various different types of reasons, often one of the major feelings that accompanies that is isolation, loneliness. Whether it's true or not, it feels like, I'm the only one going through this. Only I understand this. You may want somebody else to understand, but you don't feel like they can. So the book was written to try and help people see that other people do understand, almost kind of in a passive way, give a sense of community through some of the pain to help them, ease that feeling of isolation and struggling alone.
Wow. Thank you very much for that. I'm sure a lot of people will benefit from that.
I hope so.
Now, I'm going to step back and I'm going to ask you, what was the defining moment that led to you joining CCAT?
I think a defining moment that led to me joining CCAT was, I had been working with CCAT. I had my own, I had a different company at that time. I know I was working as a contractor for them. And when, after having, some pretty good discussions with the owner at that time, Michael Macias, still currently the owner, my business partner now, um, we had some really in-depth conversations, and he kind of expressed that he wanted to not only be able to help veterans, he wanted to make a meaningful impact. I really like the direction that he wanted to go. So it's not just been for Michael, and for me, it's security is more of a means to doing something for society, right? We both wanted to protect society. He has a law enforcement background. Um, we really want to try and give the people that we can legitimate services, fully licensed. Our guards are licensed. Essentially we play by all the rules, the regulations, all that fun stuff. But we really wanted to be like on the up and up about everything, right? And in security, a lot of times there's companies that, they're not properly insured, or they don't have, not all of the guards have this or that. So we really wanted to provide that really high quality service, to the communities that we can. And with that, help provide transitioning veterans and just veterans in general, and former law enforcement, such opportunities to, if nothing else, kind of help bridge some of those gaps in life. Be like, hey, I just got out. I don't really know what I'm doing for a career wise, where I'm going long term, but I got to figure out something to here and now. Well, here, let us help you out. Let's get you something going so you can get on your feet. And then whatever you want to transition to, we wish you well. And if we can help in that too, we will.
I have a question for you. What does the mix of law enforcement and military look like? In other words, do you have one group gravitating to CCAT more than another group in terms of military background and law enforcement background? Or is it pretty even?
Um, I'd say it's fairly even. And I think that's more just due to um, Michael having a law enforcement background. I have a military background. So I think we kind of both recruit from our, individual pools. But yeah.
Okay. And now, of course, I'm going to ask about your your passion of having veterans come to you as a transition from active military to civilian life and civilian protection work. How do you help them? What do you do to guide them?
In that transition, I mean, so here's something interesting is when you come straight out of the military, you're used to military culture, right? It's been ingrained in you 24/7 for however many years you were in, whether it be 2, 4, 20. It is just ingrained in you. That is your life and world. In the civilian world, it's completely different. It just is. Um, and so one way that we really try to help that reintegration process is with individuals. They can talk to people a certain way in the military. You can do certain things that you can't do in the civilian world, and vice versa. Now, a lot of times it feels like you're just being ripped from one and just dumped into the other, right? You're just ripped out of the military world. All right, you're done, you're cut. Just but through the way that we do it with security is that we provide them opportunities and post locations to do their work at that they do have interaction with the public. They do get to utilize their veteran status to help kind of promote their standing, but they aren't forced to be in constant interaction with public and society. So it's not overwhelming for them, and it allows them to kind of have a staggered reintegration fully into society, which I believe is more beneficial overall.
Wow. Okay. Finally, when people experience CCAT security, what do you most want them to feel and remember?
I'd say personalized and quality of service. We really do care about all of our clients. We give them personalized attention, really cater things directly to them. We really just want people to feel like they're special when they're our clients. And I know that may sound cliche, but I mean, I read every contract. I know the name of every guard on every post. We really do try to take care of our people.
Thank you very much for telling us about CCAT and your role in it. And now I would like to hear your message to the children 100 years from now.
My message to children 100 years from now are some basic fundamental truths. And that would be there are very few absolutes in life. And if you really want to go the places you have for dreams, it's going to take sacrifice. It's going to take hard work. It doesn't matter what kind of AI there is, what shortcuts are advertised. There is no shortcuts. Work hard, be informed, and take that leap. You will learn more from your failures than you will from your successes. And I wholeheartedly believe that. I have failed so many times, and I will probably, hopefully, fail more times in the future. But it is from those failures you learn. So don't be afraid of it. Just push through and always pursue what you have in your dreams.
Thank you very much. It's you make it great to be a human. Thank you. Okay, thank you, David of CCAT Security, and thank you for joining me on VETS on the Grid and sharing your message as a veteran who continues to serve both the military and now the civilian sectors. We appreciate you providing and sharing seeds of inspiration to be the best that you can be to those young people who you're nurturing and cultivating for humanity's success globally, now, and in 100 years. Again, thank you for continuing to serve just in a different uniform and for joining me in cultivating your awareness. If any veterans or civilians watching our conversation have an interest in being part of Ops for Vets and becoming an Ops for Vets life member, sharing your inspiration, information, and making connections, visit www.opsforvets.com/about for more information about us and what we do. And put Thursday, October 8, 2026 on your calendar so you don't miss the 15th Annual Veteran and Small Business Trade Show. Go to wherecommunitiesserveveterans.org for more information. And a quote from Major Julian Park: "The long march is won by putting one foot in front of the other without losing hope." Hit like, subscribe, hit the bell to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
You see him? He's just as dead as we are. Now you listen to me, youngster. Someday you're gonna wake up fighting on a beachhead. You pray to God some guy doesn't get killed because of your foolishness. You join the Marine Corps, Owens. We don't deal in pity and sympathy.
I try.
Try. We don't try in this Marine Corps. We either do or we don't. We don't straddle any fences. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Every time you make one of these little mistakes of yours, you're gonna turn around and I'll be standing right there.
Need any money or anything, you know? Man, I got over like a fat rat when I got out, man. I got my school money coming from the government once a month. I got my veterans check coming once a month. I got my 50% medical check coming to me for the rest of my life.